What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat Podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. It's Brian Hines back, as always, with Alex Barth, fresh off the field of day 2 of Patriots training camp, continuing to kind of ramp it up here, another hour and a half, 90-minute session. No pads still, no full pads, and another just kind of 2 periods of 11-on-11 work. So still in this kind of league mandated ramp up period, but still some things to talk about. And Barth, again, jumping right into it. And we'll start with the offense and Drake May. I thought the theme of the day for him was you don't go broke taking a profit, right? And
Right.
Ramondre Stevenson told us after practice, the focus today was on first down, having positive plays on first down, not going backwards. So it was a lot of short yardage, working the short intermediate area for Drake May. And it went pretty well for him. 14 of 15, only one pass hit the ground, and it was his final one, which was batted at the line of scrimmage. May have been a sack too before that. So you saw him operate pretty efficiently in the short and intermediate area of the field today on those first down plays.
Yeah, and I think that, we know Drake May can throw the deep ball. His chemistry on the deep ball with these receivers, especially the new ones, is certainly something that is important and something we'll be watching for as the summer goes on. And I would think we'll see that at some point. But the Josh McDaniels offense is all about staying ahead of the sticks, right? And so that's what we saw him do today. And a big thing for Drake May this year, we talk about limiting the turnovers. Part of that is, can he be quick and decisive without being rushed and erratic? And I thought he did that today. Took what the defense gave him, kept the ball off the ground, kept the offense moving. Knowing that it's a first down period, I think adds important context to what we saw. So I'm glad we got that from Ramondre Stevenson. But hopefully that can kind of become, this is something Drake May's worked on and he's going to be better at this year, is just making sure. Because how many times, this has been a problem for the Patriots for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's kind of manifested itself in different ways. 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 15, right off penalties. You can't maintain that. Like, that's just not winning football. So getting yourself into even 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4 makes a big difference. And sometimes that means making the not sexy play. Sometimes that means just hitting the guy on the quick hitch route over the middle, or hitting the check down and letting the running back pick up yards after the catch again, zone. And that's what he was doing yesterday. So it was encouraging, or that's what he was doing today. So it was encouraging to see. It's just one day, but you like having a period like that, that's a focus like that, I think is encouraging for May's development.
Yeah. And I don't think, I think down the line, and it was a period today, so I hope, in games they still let him kind of open things up. Right? He is a gunslinger. I hope it's, not every first down can just be a 5-yard check down, but,
Right.
when you're focusing on it in practice, we saw a lot of screens and a lot of those hitches, curls, short stuff today, and you do need to stay in front of the sticks in this offense. And you mentioned turnovers quickly, like that should help him with his turnovers and the interceptions. And if you go back to his last press conference in minicamp or OTAs, whenever he spoke last in the offseason program, he said, taking what's open, taking the first thing has been a focus for him, because when you hold the ball and he's running all around back there, then things can kind of go bad and get, go downhill, and especially those turnovers start to pop up. So turnovers has been a big focal point, what he needs to improve on going into year 2. And if he can just take what's in front of him, take what's there, especially on the early downs most of the time, that should help decrease those interception numbers and even the fumble numbers, right? Because that was kind of stemmed from him holding onto the ball at times. And I know it was behind a poor offensive line, but you get the ball out quick and you don't have to deal with those turnovers and fumbles and such. So the fact that he was that efficient in that area, I thought that was a positive sign today, and we'll see if that can continue moving forward there. But so that was Drake's day. Josh Dobbs, I thought a little better after shaky accuracy day yesterday, and your guy Ben Woldridge, Barth, was humming that thing around there. He only had, I think, 9 total snaps. Some of those were handoffs, but a little gunslinger out of him today. Maybe the best throw of the day, like an anticipation second window over the intermediate. So, and Dobbs, we mentioned May mostly in the short intermediate. Dobbs had a couple of those downfield shots, few and far between, but there were a couple there. So better day for the backup quarterbacks, I thought, as well, behind May today.
Yeah, Dobbs is better. I don't know. I'm still a little underwhelmed through the first 2 days from him. Had some guys open deep. He had Javon Baker open deep, I think, twice and missed him once, and Baker kind of dropped the other. But Woolridge, yeah, that was something from Woolridge. So he had a deep ball that probably should have been caught. I think it was Webb, right? Jeremiah Webb,
Yeah.
probably wrong shoulder, which is why that was incomplete. And then what was the other? Oh, yeah. And then he had one where he dropped the arm slot and kind of sidearmed it into Land Larison. So I don't think he's challenging Dobbs yet for the backup job, but he had some. That's not the kind of throws I was expecting from Ben Woolridge. I was expecting him to just be the checkdowns like we saw from Drake May, but he and with mixed results, but he wasn't afraid to go out there and sling it.
Yeah. So credit to him. We love those gunslingers who come in out backup quarterbacks, and especially in these training camp practices, because spices things up a little bit. So good for Waldridge for kind of slinging it around there today. But with those pass catchers, you know, I don't know. There were a lot of, those checkdowns we talked about, a lot of the running backs involved. We'll talk about Travion Henderson, but did anything, going from yesterday to today in the wide receiver room, still no Jalen Polk, which is a big one. And we got a little clarity from Mike Reese that's muscle tightness. So he passed his physical. That's why he wasn't on a PUP list or anything. So the shoulder seems good, but now it's another muscle tightness somewhere. So still not good. That Polk's not out there as he's fighting for his spot. But anything change today, or you get anything that stand out to you with that wide receiver hierarchy or performance wise on day 2 today?
Step back for Kyle Williams, had a drop. There was that. Pop was, I thought, more involved than yesterday. He had the catch of the day. The Patriots actually put up the clip of that one. I have it on my Twitter if you want to check it out. Kind of fading back, and it's the kind of catch you expect like a 6'2", 6'3" receiver to make. That's not. It's not this unbelievable, you've never seen it before catch, but you usually don't see guys like that's not a catch a guy like Pop Douglas makes. That's usually a contested catch. Bourne made one like that yesterday, which it's more fits his profile. But anyway, if that's in Pop Douglas's bag, that's good to know. You're happy about that. Outside of him, Diggs was involved again. That's good to see. Yeah, the big change for me from yesterday, Pop Douglas a little more involved. Kyle Williams had the drop. Oh, Javon Baker got open a couple times. He dropped one. One was overthrown. So the results still aren't there. Sort of his fault sometimes, not always. He got open a couple times. He's getting targets. He got open once yesterday, too. I think that was the one where, that was the one where there's the miscommunication. We think it was a miscommunication between him and Dobbs, or Dobbs really missed him. But my guess is he ran a route. Dobbs was expecting a different route, but the route he ran, he was open. So a little something from Javon Baker. This is all with the 2s and 3s. He's still got a ways to go. But credit where credit's due. Like, he's been getting open regularly.
Yeah.
But I still don't think he has one catch.
He caught one today. He caught
one. He did catch one. He caught a short one today, right?
Yeah, just a short one. The downfield targets have not, he had the drop and then he got open. They went back to back. He had the drop down the right sideline, which Alex Austin kind of broke up after it hit his hands. And then he went left sideline, very next play, right downfield. And it was overthrown where he had a step, so they couldn't connect on those. But he did catch a short one, so still kind of inconsistent with Javon Baker. But maybe the opportunity for some plays are there. But yeah, I'm with you for the most part. I mean, Diggs is still just. I'm still not over how ridiculously good he looks for a guy.
Impressive.
Just shy of 9 months. From the ACL tear, like he cut on it for like third snap and had another catch. Then they went right back to him. So that connection with Drake still grows. I know a lot of people asked about Efton Chisholm. He had his first catch in team drills on one of those few downfield completions of the day. So he got involved, and that was with Dobbs. So kind of running with those 2s and 3s. It feels like that wide receiver room, like the top, it's pretty consistent of like Diggs, Pop Douglas, Kendrick Bourne, Kayshon Boutte, and Kyle Williams. And then, Chisholm and Baker are kind of in that next group. So that feels kind of how like the hierarchy through 2 days here.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Those top 5 are, I mean, I think it's a real chance those guys make the team. Chisholm, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, has not gotten any reps with the ones yet.
No, and he's worked. So like if you take those, he hasn't gotten any reps with Drake May, but you take those, he's gotten reps with those top 5 receivers at times. Like there's been
but
times he's
only with
been,
Dobbs.
yeah, so like, he'll mix in, it'll be like him, Kendrick Bourne, and Kayshon Boutte as a personnel group or
Yeah.
something. But it's all
Who?
with Dobbs, nothing with Drake yet.
But so he's still essentially with the twos. And did he have a drop today, yesterday?
No, he got open yesterday and Dobbs overthrew him, and then today they
Maybe that's
connected
what I'm
on one
thinking
downfield.
of.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's still got, this is what he said, like he's still got some room to go. Looks, he's doing the right things, but still has some work to do. Because if he's not getting any reps with the ones, that's not a guy that, is a roster lock by any means.
Yeah. So we'll see with him, and then especially how that looks when Polk comes back, whenever that's the case. But those two guys could maybe be battling for that one last spot, because Mac Hollins will factor in. He'll be the 6th guy. So if they want to keep 7, that could be the last spot up for grabs there, bearing an injury or trade or whatnot. But tight ends, still no Austin Hooper on the PUP list. Jack Westover got a lot of runs still as the 2nd guy. He caught a pass from Drake May. G. Scott also caught one from Josh Dobbs, another one of those.
He had a nice catch.
So yeah, that was a nice one from G. Scott. So we continue to monitor that 2nd tight end right now, but really 3rd tight end. But I thought going to the backfield, one of the more exciting parts maybe of the day, a lot more Travion Henderson, Barth today in the passing game, especially even aligned outside, caught a couple passes, one from Drake May. So you got a lot more Travion Henderson there today on day 2 here.
I'm encouraged by how involved Travion Henderson is. I just was wondering that, right? And look, he was a high 2nd round pick, so maybe this was me overanalyzing. But in the past under McDaniels, outside of Sony Michel, who was a 1st round pick, rookie running backs got redshirted here, especially the guys in that passing down role. James White, Shane Vereen, like all of them, they really didn't play as rookies. So I was kind of wondering if that was going to be the case with Henderson, but he's been very involved here through 2 days. We talked about this in our preview show, like pass pro is going to matter, right? He's going to have to show he can block, and that's not going to be something we're going to talk about until the pads come on. It's not really something we're going to see. We're not going to have anything to talk about regarding it until the pads come on, but he's involved more than I thought he would be off the rip here, which is encouraging because they need him on the field, especially in situations, 2-minute drill, right, where you need explosive plays, because they're still not as good as Diggs looks. He's not the player he was at age 26, 27, right? They're not a very fast offense. Pop Douglas gives them some speed. Kai Williams gives them some speed. I don't know how much those two are going to be on the field at the same time. Like, Henderson gives them another explosive element on offense that they really need. So I'm encouraged that it seems like they're ready to get him rolling early.
Yeah. And I think we've probably said it after every show that we've watched a practice, but the speed stands out. It is fun. It is fun to watch him with the ball in his hands. And you talk about the role for him. They're moving him around. Again, he was out wide today and caught a pass. So that usage right out of the gate is exciting for a rookie back, especially with that explosive kind of skill set and what he can bring to this offense. But anything else with the backs? We saw Lan Larison catch one out of the backfield. You mentioned that one earlier from Woldridge. So he's still around, maybe fighting for that 3rd or 4th spot. But anything else from the running backs or tight ends?
I think that's it. Ramondre is busy in the passing game. I don't want to overreact to one practice, but as much as we've talked about going back to early down, passing down, that doesn't mean you're not going to throw the ball to Ramondre at all. So somebody that Drake May was throwing to quite a bit today, so they were going short. That'd probably be my one other observation.
All right, wrap up offense with the offensive line. We still have that Barth qualifier on things where we're not in pads. So we don't want to look too much into the performance, but if we were, I thought it was maybe a little better yesterday, even though the defensive line still had probably the better day. But along for the alignment, we saw the same starting 5: Will Campbell, Cole Strange, Garrett Bradbury, Micah Winu, Morgan Moses. But we saw rookie Jared Wilson mix in a lot at center and left guard for Cole Strange. So Barth, what are you kind of making of their usage for Jared Wilson out of the gate, who's a young, inexperienced rookie, like he's 21. He only started 1 year at Georgia, and then he missed the whole spring with an injury. He was limited, and they're just throwing him out there. So he had a bad snap. We'll mention that. The ball ended up on the ground.
And I've said that pads or no, snap the ball right. So that is
Exactly.
a mark against him. I will give you that today.
The usage seems like they have big plans for Jared Wilson, and he was a 3rd-round pick, but out of the gate.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about just getting your best 5 on the field. Do they view Jared Wilson as one of their 5 best linemen? And if that's the case, and look, he's going to have to win that performance-wise. Obviously, he's going to have to prove it, and he'll start doing that once the pads come on, or not doing it, I guess. But like that will be settled once the pads come on. But if they're convinced to get him in the lineup, and they feel he can play left guard or center, which Elliot Wolf said back in the spring. He said he thinks his long-term future is at center, but he could get some run at left guard. Well, now the competition is essentially between Garrett Bradbury and Cole Strange, right? Okay, one of these guys is coming out of the lineup because we know and if you feel Wilson plays equally at both positions, some of it could be if Wilson's so much better at center, well, you're just going to play him at center, right? But if they feel good with him in either spot, relatively even, I should say, with him at either spot, all right, well, who would you rather take out of the lineup, Bradbury or Strange? And that could very well become the battle. And I'll say this with Strange, too. There's an injury factor there. It's a guy that struggled to stay healthy. So that you keep that in the back of your mind. But I'm not saying it's that right now because, again, Wilson's a rookie. You're not going to give him a spot. He has to prove that he should be starting. But I think highly of the kid. I liked him in the draft. That was one of my favorite picks. I think he bad snap today and all. I think he can prove that he's a starting NFL caliber player right now. And then if he does that, it's Strange or Bradbury. I think I like him better at center. I'd like to see him at center. But if Cole Strange struggles or gets hurt, if they're repping him at left guard with the first team, it means they think there's a chance he's going to play there, like in real games.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd probably prefer him at center. That's where he is going to be long term. So if he can just work there, and that's a little bit more of a mental position, with everything that's going on, even though we talk so much about the McDaniels offense, a lot comes on Drake, but there's still a little bit more on the center there. So you'd like him there, but if their best 5 is with him at left guard, like let's get the best 5 out there first and roll from there. So definitely seems like they have some big plans for Jared Wilson out of the gate, which is encouraging because he does seem, very high potential kid there along the interior offensive line. But the starting unit was the same as we said. Still got Morgan Moses kind of rotating in and out with Trey Jacobs at times there at right tackle. That just seems more like the plan throughout this summer when you have the 34-year-old veteran coming off a knee procedure. But anything with the backup offensive line that you've noticed through kind of 2 days here, again, not really performance wise, but just where guys are lining up. If Demontre Jacobs just seems to be the favorite for maybe that backup right tackle or swing tackle, but anything with the backup offensive line and how they've kind of, looked through 2 days.
Yeah, nothing much. Kane Wall still getting run at guard. Demontre Jacobs, the top backup right tackle. I still think that.
Yep, and Vidarian Lowe still on the pup there, so we'll see if he factors in whenever he comes back. But that's the offensive side of the football. Let's go over to the defense and special teams. We got some field goals today we'll talk about. Before we do that, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Prize Picks and Do You Know Ball, because football is right around the corner and we can start putting Drake May, Stephon Diggs, Travion Henderson into our Prize Picks lineup. But for now, we are continuing in the summer with baseball, and you can spice up that action on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Just pick more or less on player stats like hits, home runs, strikeouts, and more for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today, and even take advantage of their weekly promotions that can leak the big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where each Tuesday projections can be discounted from 15 to 25%. Big win for the Red Sox last night. One of the more entertaining games of the year. Romy Gonzalez, grand slam, Carlos Narvaez, big 2-run home run there in extras. So Roman Anthony wasn't in the lineup last night. He's been slumping a little bit. So if he's back in the lineup tonight, we're going to take him to break that slump. As always, add more than half a hit into my lineup. Or if you want to feel a little bit riskier and go with RBIs, home runs, total bases, you can do that as well. And maybe pair him with another Sock or the Dodgers coming to town. You put Mookie Betts in your lineup. Shohei is always a good pick to try to find a winner there. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, all over on Prize Picks. Run your game. All right. Back to training camp, back over to the defense. We'll kick off some new absences. I guess we'll start there. And it was one in the secondary was kind of the big one, and that was Carlton Davis, who was originally on the PUP list. Then he cleared his physical. He practiced yesterday, but then he was not at practice today. He was absent. So maybe they're just kind of monitoring that situation and, easing him back with whatever he was dealing with. But no Carlton Davis, and you saw Alex Austin kind of get those elevated snaps along the boundary, a little bit of Marcellus Dial too. So This is maybe, we've talked about Carlton Davis. He's missed time every season of his career. So if you don't have him now, how are you feeling with what you saw today and what we know about their backup plans without Carlton Davis in the second?
I thought Austin looked good. Isaiah Bolden got in the mix a little bit too, but yeah, I mean that's what the rotation is going to be, and that's something to watch because Carlton Davis is an important player for this defense. And I've talked about this. I think he's the best signing they made for their pass rush. Because between him, Gonzalez, the two safeties, if they're healthy, and I thought Kyle Duggar was moving really well today. Try to watch the defense a little more today. I was so focused on the offense yesterday because it's the first day back, and you want to talk about Drake May and Stephon Diggs and the rookies and all that. So I try to look a little more at the defense today. So not that Kyle Duggar was not moving well yesterday, but I kind of try to notice him a little more today. Like he looks good. If that secondary is fully healthy, they're going to create a lot of coverage sacks. But you take one guy out, and there's kind of a big domino effect. So Carlton Davis will be something to monitor, absolutely. But I like Alex Austin. He's not Carlton Davis, but if you have to go to him for a game or two, I don't feel horrible about that. The question is then if they want the big slot and he's kind of filling that role, well, now who's stepping in there when you don't want to use Marcus Jones?
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely, you feel very comfortable that you can survive a game or two, with Alex Austin out there. But it does create that trickle effect. If he is in the slot and so forth. But so we'll see with that secondary. Quiet day, which is a good thing for Christian Gonzalez, as well as Marcus Jones. So they're locking stuff up. But, when you're focusing on the defense, does anything in that front seven kind of stand out to you on those rotations and performances?
So some of this comes with the caveat that Christian Barmore was limited today. He didn't do team drills, and he said after practice, it's not a setback. He's just, it's what the team wants him doing. And it was first down, so a lot of base defense. But there's a lot of Kyrus Tonga and a lot of Jeremiah Farms. Tonga, especially to me, like we've talked about this, seems like more of a situational player. It doesn't seem like a 1st and 10 player to me. Same with Farms. They were out there quite a bit. Farms actually had a pass breakup as Drake May's only incompletion. Pocket kind of started moving in. He got a hand up, knocked the pass down. May had Kendrick Bourne open over the middle. So maybe a bigger role still for that traditional nose tackle than we thought. We'll see when Barmore comes back what that looks like, because it could also just be, all right, we need somebody in here. And I mean, Farms would be the next guy up in theory. And obviously, Milt Williams is on the field for all of this, obviously. But that's something I'll be watching when Barmore is back out there. Is it going to be as much a Tonga or as much a Farms?
Yeah. And you saw a little bit of that in the spring, the three of them, like Barmore, Tonga, and Milton Williams out there on early down. So I know we've talked a lot about it's going to be 4 down fronts. Maybe they do go to that 5 down, and you have the traditional nose tackle in there. But it seems like that's Tonga, and then Farms was probably more in the place of Barmore today while he was, conditioning and doing his work off to the side. So that's the D line. I thought Harold Landry looked really good again off the edge. He's been in the backfield a ton, so hope that translates to when the pads come on. And then that linebacker rotation we've talked a lot about next to Robert Spillane, a lot of Christian Ellis today, and then Gibbons and Mapu were that second unit. Tavai worked in occasionally, so it kind of feels like maybe through 2 days that's Christian Ellis's job to lose next to Robert Spillane in the early stages.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yep. All right, I think that's defense. I miss anything else in your notes? Or
I think that's pretty much it.
All right. So we'll wrap up with special teams and then our new segment that I'm sure everyone loved yesterday. But first field goals of the summer. It was a little bit of a windy one too out there, working between 30 and 50 yards. Borgalis went 3 of 4. He missed his last one wide left from about 50, the max range there. And then Parker Romo, perfect day for in that kicking competition. So we know Borgalis had the better spring, but an early lead, 1 up for Parker Romo through 2 practices here.
Yeah, I mean, they were both a little erratic. So we were at a rough angle. We had to get those numbers confirmed, and I thought they were going to look worse than they did. I thought both were going to have misses. So, like you said, the wind a factor, but it was.
Bro.
Yeah, it's only going to get worse. As I think it was Zoe that said that to me after practice. It's only going to get worse. So, but the ball's blowing around a good amount. 3 of 4 and 4 of 4. It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So we'll see. And then Behringer, the wind did not bother Behringer. He was kicking the crap out of the ball. I hit him at 5.26 hang time on one of his. So all's good there. He was, and the 5.26 was down to like the 7-yard line. I mean, he was kicking the crap out of it. It was awesome.
Year 3 All-Pro Bryce Behringer. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's dial it in. 1-1 in our punters draft if we do that this year. I think he went 1-1 last year, didn't he? I think.
No. He did. Yeah, he did.
I think
we got to start setting that up.
Yeah, I think one of the listeners we had the first pick, and they took Bryce from us. So 1-1, but he's been worth it the last couple of years. They've been punting the ball a lot, so hopefully he doesn't have to punt the ball that much. But when he does, it can be those 5.
Although as we learned last year, you don't necessarily want a lot of punts because
you want because there's
more touchbacks.
More things can go wrong the more times you punt the ball. We
might have to tweak the scoring a little bit.
Yeah. You wanted in that league, you just wanted one like fair catch I-20, and then you didn't want him to punt again, and you would take like your 2 points and just pack up and say, I'm good. I don't want anything else to risk it, because most games would be like 3 to -10. That's how the scoring would work there. So fun stuff though. We'll have to set that up again. But
we're gonna get Evan in it this year. We're gonna get Evan in it this year.
Expansion league, get Evan in. All right, we'll see. That'll be a fight, I'm sure. He'll love to do that. So all right, we'll wrap up, Barth, with our plugger of the day. Who is yours here?
Drake May. Ball didn't hit the ground. Got to give it to the quarterback. It's Drake May.
Yeah, that was going to be mine. Do we have to do?
I think we can do this. No, we can do the same one. I think we don't want to have the same one every week or every day, but I think on a day like today,
when there's more going on in the future practices,
or if you want to give it to Drake, I'll give mine to Bryce Behringer, because like I said, he was kicking the crap out of the ball.
There you go. So pluggers of the day: Drake May, Bryce Behringer. First time, we'll have to also keep a tally how many plugger of the day.
Oh yeah, so we have
like the Tommy
Awards.
Who was
it yesterday? It was Kyle
Williams
and who?
And Harold Landry, and then today we have Drake May and Bryce Behringer. We'll note that.
Keep a running tally here.
And then we'll see at the end of the summer who is the leader for plugger of the days. May and Behringer.
It's going to be Drake May.
Yeah,
I hope it's Drake May. It better be Drake May.
It should be Drake May. We should have at least one Drake May every day, ideally throughout the summer. But we'll see there. So, all right. We will wrap it up there. We'll be back again tomorrow for day 3 of Patriots training camp. So make sure you're locked on to Patriots Press Pass. Turn on those notifications and subscribe and like on YouTube. Again, those notifications tell you whenever we are going to go live. They can be quick turnarounds after practice, sometimes live right at the stadium. We'll be doing crossovers with Mike and Taylor. So make sure you guys have those notifications on so you know right when we're going live and whenever any other content on there is getting posted. And subscribe wherever else you get your podcasts as well, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else on that. So do all that, please. You can also follow Barth on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com for his Patriots training camp coverage online. And you can follow me on Twitter at @IamBrianHines, and head over to patspulpit.com for our Patriots training camp online there as well. So thanks again, everyone, for jumping in with us on day 2, and we will see you tomorrow.